Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to Life Well Lived by Amabala Stephen. It's an engaging and enlightening talk show on life, relationships, and the business of life. Grab a cup of juice and just chill. Life Well Lived by Amabala Stephen. Live life. Live fully.
Hello, it's Life Well Lived by Amabala Stephen, and welcome to Life Well Lived by Amabala Stephen. On today's show, I have a guest with me who's going to be talking about love and relationships. You are and I all know that relationships is life and life is relationships. It's very important. We talk about this subject. Now, I have Renee Blackwell, who is a singles life coach, an educator, best-selling author, and she helps professional, single Christian women avoid time-wasting relationships and help them get out of their own way when it comes. Now, that's very important. I know that you want to meet this guest of mine. Welcome with me on Live Well Lived by Amabala Stephen, Renee Blackwell.
Hello. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm so excited to be here with you today.
Thank you so much. So more like it now. Why is I want to know who is Renee Blackwell?
Well, I am a typical church girl. My father is a pastor. My grandfather was a pastor. I've grown up in church my entire life. I am a simple but complex person. I think that's what a lot of professional women tend to be. I'm an author. Again, I wrote a story in a book called Delayed But Not Denied. And the name of my chapter was called Can You Hear Me Now? I've been a special education teacher for about 18 years now. I love working with children, but my passion lately has really moved more into my writing and more into life coaching, because I began to understand that I've been single my entire life, but I understand that it's time for us to begin to understand, what are we doing? What's going wrong? Why are we still failing, it seems sometimes, in relationships, but we're being successful in business and home and all these other things. So I just feel like my life is turning into a full circle at this point. I wasn't always this confident about sharing my story, but at this point, I feel like it's a part of my purpose.
Correct. Now you get it. Part of your purpose. Once the purpose of something is understood, you can't abuse it now that you know your purpose. So I wish you all the best. Now, why is relationship so important? Why do we keep talking about relationships? How important?
I think it's so important at this point in life is because, again, a lot of professional women and men at this point, especially Christian professionals, we've been taught, we know the word of God, we know what God says about relationships and marriage, but there's such a long road before you get down the aisle of marriage. And I've always been fascinated with love. I'm a romantic at heart. I love love. I love all things love. I'm the one that cries at weddings and all of those things. But at the same time, I began to understand that there was something that, although we knew the biblical teachings of relationships, we weren't always knowing the practical application. We were making things too spiritual. And so I know that was what I went through, being a pastor's child. We weren't allowed to really date. And so I had to go through a lot of trial and error. And so I just want to be able to share with the world the things that I've learned, so that we don't have to continue to fail at the thing that we want the most.
Right. Thank you so much for that explanation. Thank you so much. Now, I wanted to talk about, what if I later realize that I'm in the wrong relationships? Now, what am I supposed to do?
Okay. One of the biggest things that I think that we discount ourselves, especially if you've been through a lot of toxic relationships, abusive relationships, or just failed relationships, a lot of times we lose confidence in our own decision making. We tend to feel like we don't trust ourselves anymore. And when you're in the wrong relationship and you recognize it, first of all, celebrate that. At least that you are aware that you're in the wrong relationship. I think sometimes we go into relationships, especially in the dating phase, we tend to go into it thinking that it has to be this automatic marriage, this automatic relationship, and not understanding it's really meant for you to get to know one another. When you find out that it's someone that's not compatible with you or someone who violates your boundaries, it's okay to speak those things and say your truth, and just let the person know. It's better to be honest than for you to be miserable and then you're misleading someone else who actually could really have feelings for you. I think we've stopped talking in this day and time. In truth, we're trying to represent ourselves to be something that we're not. So when you figure out that you're not in the right relationship, the first thing to do is to be honest with that person and yourself.
Right. That's right. That's very important.
Yes.
You said it. Avoid time wasting relationships.
That's it.
Now, why relationships and marital regrets, why are they so rife? Everybody's talking about regrets.
Yes.
I'm just tired of. I don't want to do this again. Why is it so popular?
I think that, and if I can understand you, I think that what we all have a basic need. Everyone, I don't care, the most reclusive person in the world, we all want love. That's a basic human need that we all have.
Absolutely.
I don't care how much money you make. I don't care how much success you have as a professional, but everyone is still interested in love because we've all been there to a certain extent where you've had maybe the person, you maybe have had the dream job or you've gone on the dream vacation, but when you're doing it alone, and as we're getting older, we're going through the pandemic right now, this is making people reflective about what am I missing? You know, we've been chasing pathways that maybe give us temporary satisfaction, but now I think people are looking for a fulfillment, you know, that's deeper than these material things like money and success and fame. That's what I had to deal with.
That's right. So how can one identify a time-wasting relationships? Are there any signs to watch out for?
Oh my goodness, for sure. The best way to avoid time-wasting relationships before you even enter into a relationship, number one, know what it is that you're looking for. I meet a lot of single women and men that just aren't even clear about what they want. And then they find themselves involved just off of chemistry. I'm sorry.
Right.
Yes, we get involved on chemistry. And when I say chemistry, I mean their surface qualities, you know, what they look like, you know, if you all enjoy the same hobbies, or, you know, maybe someone suggested that you all would make a good couple. And we go off of that as if that's an indication of actually what a person is like. And I begin to teach my clients that I want them to understand you got to go beyond the surface. So that's how you avoid time-wasting relationships, when you're clear about those things that you really want, not those surface things, because your looks are going to change. Your profession could change. The vows in marriage say, you know, for better or worse. And a lot of times we don't look for people who actually have the maturity to be with me in the bad times and the good times. So those are things that I really encourage singles to. Let's start being serious about actually what we need, not what we want, but we need from a partner. That was something I found that I was looking for a lot of my wants. But when I began to actually date men that actually fit the things that I needed in my life, I started seeing such a difference. I really did. Right.
That's amazing. Now, what if my parents say no to the relationships? Doesn't mean I should walk out.
Okay, say that one more time for me.
I'm trying to say that, what if I'm in a relationship and my parents are just objecting? They're telling me to walk out. Is it right for me to walk out?
Right. And you know what? I know a lot of times in church and in Christian, you know, relationships, we say that, you know, it's death to do you part. I do believe that it's actually a personal decision. I know a lot of times people are encouraging you to stay in a situation, but you are the one that actually has to live in that situation. If it's an abusive situation or a situation where it's infidelity involved, these are things that you have to ask yourself, can you live with? And is your life full of quality living with a person who doesn't honor their part of the commitment? That's what I always share.
So thank you so much for that. So I'm sorry for that. So is it always possible for you to be with someone you never truly loved? Is it possible? Probably you came together due to uncontrollable circumstances.
Oh, for sure. I believe so. I believe that we have the power of actually calling into those things. I mean, the word says that, you know, you call those things that are not as though they were. And I do believe that when you both have intentions, I think when we understand that we're humans, we make mistakes, we have flaws, there's going to be disappointments in relationships. And I think sometimes we still have this fairy tale image of what we think love is supposed to be. But when we understand that the first part of the scripture, of one of my favorite scriptures, says that love is patient. And if it's patient, oh my God. And I'm a type of person, I'm not the most patient person in the world. But once I begin to understand that if I'm saying I really want to be in love, it's possible. But do you have patience to endure that person to grow with you? I think we're looking for the instant, over here we say, the instant oatmeal, the ready-made microwave popcorn. But actually what I'm understanding, because I've been around amazing relationships that have longevity. And from a distance, it looks easy. It looks very easy from a distance. But once you begin to talk to them and they begin to share, they let you know, listen, it wasn't always like this. It was patience that we had. So I do truly believe, I'm a romantic. I believe that love is possible. I believe that there's somebody out there for you. But my question to you is, are you ready for love? And are you ready to be patient with what love offers you, or are you ready to just walk out because the first time you disagree, or the first time there's an argument or something of that nature? Are you really prepared for what love brings?
Right. Are you really prepared? That's very important. So I wanted to ask you, why do you focus on Christian and Christian singles women? Does it mean that they're the only ones who suffer most relationship troubles?
Well, no, I don't think it's that they only do, but I had to, one thing I began to understand, I cater to the audience that I'm familiar with. But I do have clients that, are non-denominational or that are not spiritual at all. But I just began to see that there was a gap between a lot of the Christians, that the things that we were being taught in church about singleness. A lot of times the people themselves had been married since a very young age. And so their experiences were going to be totally different than what we were going to be going through in this day and time. And so I just wanted to offer more dating solutions, because I began to see that the divorce rate in between Christians is just as high as people that are non-believers. And so I began to see that it's not just because I go to church. It's not about my religious beliefs and all of that. There's still some basic things that we're not understanding, and that we're over-spiritualizing simply because this person attends church or this person is a spiritual person. So that's why I began to want to help them, because I began to see beautiful women that were doing great things in the world, but they were still single and not satisfied and not meeting the kind of men that were wasting time with relationships based upon just outdated concepts that really were not serving what they really wanted and needed in a relationship. So that's where I began.
Thank you so much for that. It's Mila Wellish from Marvelous TV. Thank you, Renee Blackwell, for that exposure is very important. So now, you know what? Some women think that if they can work out of relationships, they can choose to double date. What can you say about that? Okay. It's a nice thing to do. Some women think that, if I can't work out of a relationship, I can choose to double date. Is it a normal thing for you to do? Is it normal? Or is it right?
Well, to be honest with you, and I'm hoping I understand you in terms of people not just being committed to one person at a time.
That's right. Now you're in a relationship, because we know that, or probably the custom or the society says, you're in a relationship or you're in a marriage, you just have to, endure and stuff like that. But you realize that, because I can't work out of a relationship, but I can double date, So what do you have to say to that?
Yeah. Well, I think I offer two ways of looking at that. I think that society, as you said, does make you feel like, you have to be committed. I tell the singles that I coach that until you're married and you walk down an aisle and you're legally married, you're still single. And I think a lot of times single women make the mistake of acting like a wife before they're even asked to be married. And so then you get upset because you haven't even found out if this person actually is even marriage material. You don't even know if you're compatible in a long-term relationship. So for women like that, I tell them, listen, You want to just get to know someone, take off all of the expectations. And in that regard, I do think it's okay for you to, as you say, double date in terms of keeping your options open. Men are very good at keeping their options open. They don't have a problem of dating multiple women. And to be honest, you know, it makes sense because they understand that, listen, I have this friend because we enjoy doing this together. I go out with this young lady because she knows how to act when we go to certain events for my job or things of that nature. I'm not saying it to mislead people. Please hear me. I hope I'm not saying to mislead people. I think you should be honest, but I do think that women tend to settle down with just a conversation on the phone or a few dates at a restaurant and you're already writing your last name and his last name together. You don't know. So yes,
I always believe that if you know your what, people will discount you. So many times you don't know your what, so you just find yourself in the wrong relationships and making the wrong decisions. So I think that we also need to work on ourselves as women. Now, I've been discussing about relationships and love with Renee Blackwell, who is a singles life coach, an educator, best-selling author, and she helps professional singles, Christian women avoid time-wasting relationships and help them get out of their own way when it comes. I wanted to ask you, do you have any project you're working on?
I am right now. I have an online e-course. I began to do this. I do individual coaching as well, but I wanted to bring together something I call a focused community, which stands for the Fellowship of Committed Adult Singles. One of the things that I understood was a lot of times singles were getting disheartened with fostering positive relationships. Every relationship that you have does not always have to be a romantic one. And so I wanted to build a community of singles where we can begin to learn from each other. And this e-course, I have something called the 21-Day Challenge. It's called the Love Connection. Are you ready for love? And this is where I challenge singles who say, yes, I'm ready, Renee. I'm ready for love. I'm ready for this love of a lifetime. I'm tired of waiting. Where is he? Where is she? And I began to say, well, you know what? While you're waiting, let's get some things together. Let's make sure your boundaries are in place. And so I have this 21-day challenge, and it has been amazing. My first two groups have come through it. I've had married women, I've had single women, I've had men that have taken the challenge to really determine if they were even ready for love. A lot of things that they thought they were ready for, they weren't. And so I'd rather you know it before you meet someone else.
That's right.
And then now you're wasting their time. You know what I'm saying? You begin to waste somebody else's time because you weren't ready either. And so I'm just so thankful about, this opportunity to continue to challenge singles and give them dating solutions.
Great. Thank you so much. I wish you best of luck.
Thank you so much.
Now, before you go, how can people disentangle themselves from past relationships? Because I know that I know about deep chemistry between people, because I was once a victim about this chemistry I've been saying. Now, because you find it hard to let go, even when the signs are there. So how can people disentangle themselves? Like, once and for all, I'm walking away, and they walk away. How can it be possible?
One of the things that one of my mentors shared with me about disentangling myself from relationships, the first thing I had to do was be honest about my attachment to that person.
Right.
I do believe in soul ties. I do believe that there are certain people that you all can be tied at the soul emotionally, that even when you should walk away, even this person is not good for you, but it makes it difficult. I had to be honest about that. I had to tell myself the truth instead of trying to say that, I can do it, I can leave him and all of that. I had to be honest about, you know what? I don't really want to leave this person. I know this person is not good for me, but I had to be honest. And then the next thing I had to do, I had to disconnect their access to me. I had to disconnect the access. I was waiting for him to do what he always did, to leave when he got ready. But I had to let him know that he did not have access back to me when he decided to come crawling back. So I had to do some drastic things. I had to change my phone number. And someone had told me that years ago, and I was like, I don't need to do that. I'm fine. But he actually did.
Okay, fine. You change your phone number. When about getting access to your social media accounts, or probably he bumped into your sister or your family member and it got to your contacts? Because I've been in the kind of situation before, so I know what I'm talking about. So this person can easily get to contact if you want to get it.
Well, and even with that, though, there's still, thank goodness on social media, there's something called block. I'm a blocker. I will block you. I will put that block on your account where you don't have access to me on social media. And one of the things I talk about in my 21-day challenge with singles is the fact that sometimes we don't have that adequate closure. We don't know how to disconnect from people, still, avoiding the people that they were connected to. They don't know how to block them on social media because a lot of times they keep coming back. You know why? Because we have not convinced them that we're serious about ending the relationship. I gotta tell the truth about it. If you're not, and that's why I said in the beginning, you gotta tell the truth. If you're not ready, then be honest about you're not ready to let them go. Because once I got serious about it and he saw that I was serious, he tried first, a couple times, but then eventually, guess what? He got again, and he realized, okay, she's not playing anymore. She's not playing anymore. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Thank you so much for that. Do you have any parting word?
Yes.
Do you have any parting word?
I'm sorry?
Do you have any parting word for my listeners?
Oh, yes. I just want to encourage anyone that's listening to me right now to understand that, you have to give yourself time to develop what you need to in the area of love. You want to be intentional, just like you're intentional in your career. You're intentional with your parenting. If you are a single parent, just like you're intentional with your health and things of that nature, you have to be intentional about your love life. You have to set intentions and be clear about what it is that you want. And if you don't know, then that's where you need to seek people like myself who are willing to help you get unstuck. That's a lot of times the problem. All my job is to help hold the mirror up to help you see what areas that you need to be unstuck with. But don't be embarrassed. That's the other thing. Please, don't let pride keep you single. There's people out here like myself who are willing to talk with you and to help you and to know that love is available to you as soon as you become clear about what you want.
Right. Thank you so much. So how can you be reached? How can we reach you?
Okay, well, you can find me on Facebook under Renee Edwards, and that's Renee Edwards, Edwards. You can find me on Instagram under the L Renee GA. I'm the only L Renee in Georgia. That's THEL Renee RENEE GA, and I'm on Instagram. You can also email me at thelreneega@gmail.com.
Right. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I hope some other time we can do this again.
Please do. Yes, I enjoyed it. Thank you so much for this opportunity. It was a great conversation.
Thank you so much. It's been Lawali Bamabala Stephen. Thank you for joining me on this show. Till some other time, I need you to stay safe always. With all my love, it's bye for now.
Bye.